Hi everyone, please subscribe my YouTube channel. On my father's birthday, my nephew stared at me and said, "Grandma told me you're not really part of the family." Everyone burst into laughter. I forced a smile. That night, I locked his tuition account. By 8:55 a.m., my sister had called me 22 times. When I finally picked up, she yelled, "You're cruel." My nephew, Tyler, has always had some kind of problem with me. I've never understood why, but he's shown it in countless small ways. Snarky remarks, pretending I don't exist when I enter a room. He's 17 now, old enough to know better, but too wrapped up in himself to care, and still, for some reason, irritated by my presence. It was my dad's 50th birthday, a milestone. He'd been planning it for months. Backyard setup, rented tents, a taco truck in the driveway, a playlist blasting Springsteen and Queen, the full suburban celebration. I drove from Boston the night before, booked a hotel, though I could have stayed at my parents' house. I've lived in the city for nearly 15 years, built a solid career in finance, dodged a marriage that would have been a mistake, and quietly covered more family expenses than I'd like to count. But that's the thing, they always treat me like plain old John. The guy with no kids, the one who works too hard, the one they seem to forget about unless they need something. I've paid off medical bills, chipped in for down payments, and even funded Tyler's private high school tuition for the past 2 years. Not once has he said thank you. At the party, Tyler showed up in designer sneakers I knew he didn't buy, standing by my sister, Marlene, like he was gracing us with his presence. I didn't even get a greeting from either of them when it happened. We were all gathering for a photo by the fire pit. I joined the group and Tyler turned, gave me a once-over and said it in a casual tone. "Grandma says you're not really one of us." Just like that, clear, loud, no pause. The laughter came instantly, not nervous but real hearty laughter. My cousin let out a snort, someone clapped. My mom stayed silent. My dad raised an eyebrow and grinned. I stood there smiling like it didn't sting, but it hit me hard. I left the party early, didn't say goodbye. Back at the hotel, I grabbed a drink from the lobby bar, went to my room, opened my laptop, and accessed the education account I'd set up for Tyler. It held enough to cover another year and a half at his pricey private school. I froze it in 3 clicks. No heads up, no note, just done. By 8:55 the next morning, Marlene had called 22 times. I ignored them. At 10:12, I answered. She didn't bother with hello. "You're cruel. What kind of person punishes a kid for being honest?" I said one thing before hanging up. "Tell Grandma I appreciate the clarity." By noon, my mom texted, "We need to talk. What you did to Tyler was uncalled for." I didn't reply. Then my dad texted, "Call your mom." I didn't. That evening, I sat in my apartment with a drink, staring out the window as messages kept coming. But I was already done with them. The truth was out. I knew my place. They laughed. All of them laughed. So let's see how funny it is when the tuition bills pile up without my help. By Monday morning, the consequences started rolling in. I woke to 27 missed calls, 22 from Marlene, the rest from my parents. There was also a 9-minute voicemail from my sister, which I didn't play until later that night. I knew the pattern already: anger, then guilt, then some plea about how I was destroying Tyler's future over a joke. She used that word 3 times. Funny how it wasn't a joke when I was transferring tuition payments every semester, or when I covered their mortgage last Christmas after they overspent and the check bounced. No one laughed then. She claimed Tyler didn't mean it the way it sounded, that he was just parroting something he overheard. That I should be the bigger person. That I was making a 17-year-old pay for family tension. But Tyler didn't just repeat it. He looked me in the eyes when he said it. He meant every syllable, and no one corrected him, not even Marlene. They laughed. All of them laughed. I ignored the message. Same with the next 5 texts from my mom, who asked me to be reasonable and not take it out on Tyler. Not a word about what he said, not a hint about how it felt, just more reminders that I had the cash and they didn't. By Tuesday, their panic shifted into overdrive. Marlene sent an email from her work account. Subject: urgent. Tyler's tuition. It was a frantic essay about how they had no backup funds, how the school wouldn't offer mid-year scholarships, how his future was at risk because of my personal vendetta. She wrote she didn't want to drag the whole family into it. But if I kept this up, I'd leave her no choice. I chuckled at that line because that's exactly what I wanted. That night, I logged into the accounts I still had access to. Utilities, cell phone plans, even the auto loan for the family SUV I'd helped refinance 2 years ago when they were drowning in debt. I didn't cancel anything, just paused it all. Let the due dates slip. Let the overdue notices start arriving. Small, silent disruptions. Wednesday morning, my dad called. His opening line, "What the hell are you doing?" I didn't blink. I asked one question. "Do you pay those bills?" Silence. I reminded him I'd been covering them for 5 years, ever since his back injury left him out of work for a stretch, since they started falling behind and no one else stepped up. Then I asked another question. Should Tyler apologize? He didn't answer. Just breathed into the phone for a moment, then hung up. By Thursday, other relatives got involved. My mom called my Aunt Linda, who's seen enough family drama to fill a novel. Linda called me that night. I laid it all out. What was said at the party, how it went down. She didn't bat an eye. You've been bankrolling their lives while they badmouthed you behind your back. They should be begging you. She wasn't exaggerating, she was just honest. And that honesty hurt the most. By Friday, word had spread, things were spiraling. My cousin Leo, who made his money in tech and knows all about freeloaders, called to say he'd heard. "I've been waiting for you to stop letting them use you like a cash machine. Well done." That same day, Marlene tried again. Another email, calmer this time. She wrote about rebuilding trust, finding a way forward, and being open to talk. But still no apology. Not for the comment. Not for years of taking me for granted. Not even for the laughter. Too late. She didn't realize how far I was prepared to go. Saturday morning, my mom sent a group text that read like a desperate headline. "We need a family meeting." Hours later, another. "Your dad isn't sleeping. His blood pressure's spiking. You're upsetting everyone." No mention of Tyler's words. No accountability. Just guilt trips meant to pull me back in like a fish that finally broke free. That afternoon, I got the voicemail I'd been expecting. It was from Tyler's private school. A polite, professional message from Miss O'Brien in Student Financial Services. She said the next billing cycle was starting, and they needed to know if I'd continue funding Tyler's tuition or if they should offer his spot to a waitlisted student. Her tone, calm but firm, suggested she'd seen this before, families running out of money, not expecting their lifeline to vanish. It probably happened more than I realized, just not to people like Marlene. She was used to being bailaid out. I didn't call back. That evening, Marlene showed up at my building unannounced. It's a secure place, and she doesn't have my buzzer code. So she stood outside, texting like this was some ordinary disagreement. "Can we talk like grown-ups? Are you really going to ruin his life over something he heard from Grandma? You're punishing a kid because you're resentful." Resentful. That word lingered. As if I hadn't paid for years of her son's education without so much as a thank you note. As if I wasn't the one covering bills while she posted beach vacation photos on Instagram with captions about living her best life. I didn't answer. She waited outside for 20 minutes, then left. By Sunday morning, the group chat was a mess again. My mom, my dad, Marlene, and now my grandmother. She jumped into the fray, too. A long, emotional message about how family stays united and money shouldn't tear kin apart. Still, no mention of what Tyler said. No accountability. Somehow, I was the villain for reacting. I stared at her message, thinking about the time I canceled a trip to Europe because Marlene's car broke down and she needed $2,000 overnight. I thought about the months I paid my parents' electric bill when they couldn't keep the lights on, the prescriptions, the groceries, the vacations I skipped, the life I put on hold. All so they could stay comfortable. That night, I went further. I logged into the credit union account my dad had asked me to manage years ago after his surgery left him unable to work. I was still a joint account holder. My name. My access, my money, there was just over $6,000 in it. Quiet contributions I'd made over the years. A slow drip of help they never touched, probably forgot about. I transferred it all out, not out of anger. Just because I could. By Monday morning, the cracks were showing. My dad called 3 times before 8 a.m. I ignored everyone. Then came the texts, short, stern, demanding. "Call me, we need to sort this out." "You've made your point." Still no apology, not once. 10 minutes later, Marlene sent a screenshot of an email from Tyler's school. They were starting withdrawal proceedings for non-payment. "Please fix this," she wrote. I muted the chat and leaned back, watching it all fall apart from a distance. They were finally learning what it meant to lose their safety net. And this was just the start. By Tuesday morning, silence. No calls, no texts, nothing in the group chat. But it wasn't calm, not really. It was the quiet before a storm. I know my family too well to think it was surrender. When they go silent, they're regrouping. That afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened, I had to play it twice. It wasn't the finance office this time. It was the head of disciplinary affairs. Her voice was steady, almost scripted, as she explained Tyler had been caught cheating on a midterm. Multiple students had reported him. One provided a photo of a cheat sheet hidden in his sleeve. An investigation was underway. Expulsion was a possibility. I sat on my couch, staring out the window as the voicemail played. They'd been fighting me over tuition, screaming about fairness and cruelty, while Tyler was sabotaging his own future in secret. When the message ended, I didn't call the school. I forwarded the voicemail to Marlene. No text. No explanation. 3 minutes later, she called, no shouting this time. Her voice was flat, broken. She said she had no idea. Said Tyler would never do that. Claimed the school was retaliating over the payment issue. And then, as always, she blamed me. Marlene blamed the system, everyone but her son. I let her talk, then hung up. 5 minutes later, my mom called. You need to help him, this is his future. I asked, do you still think I'm not really part of this family? Silence. Then she hung up. That night, I checked my parents' accounts. Nothing paid. Power cut off. Internet disconnected. Water bill overdue. I screenshotted the electric bill and sent it to my dad. The next day, Uncle Ray showed up at my door with a six-pack. We walked to a park. He said, they've used you for years and now they act like you broke something. Then he told me Grandpa had texted him. He was rewriting his will. I'm leaving it all to John, the message read. House, cash, lake cabin. Nothing for the rest. By Thursday, the family chat exploded again. Marlene pleaded. Mom backtracked. Dad said Grandpa was stirring the pot. Grandpa had told them directly, and now they were scrambling. Friday, Grandpa called me. I told them you're getting everything. Then I said they can cry about it in the dark. They said they'd change if you reconsidered. So I told them, get on your knees and beg him. He meant it. Soon after, Marlene sent a photo of Tyler, head in his hands at a table. He's crushed. Please, John, can we start fresh? Then the group chat filled with guilt trips and half-hearted apologies. Grandpa jumped in. You should have thought about family before treating John like a bank. Now you want him back. Funny how that works. Mom's final message. We didn't mean to hurt you, but we can't lose everything over one misunderstanding. Grandpa shut it down. No, you can't lose everything. John already did. Respect, dignity. His place in this family, you just didn't care. That night Ray called. Grandpa had started the estate paperwork. You know they'll pretend none of this happened, right? I said I wasn't worried. Begging always looks the same. And once you've seen someone laugh at your place in the family, you can't unsee it. Marlene started posting old childhood photos of us on Facebook with captions like, family is forever. Cousins and friends commented, but I ignored it. The next day, my mom sent an email titled Peace Offering. It was a formal, polished apology, clearly written with Marlene's input. She listed my contributions, called me the family's foundation, and invited me to Sunday dinner. I didn't reply. Saturday, my dad left a voicemail. Less anger, more guilt. You're not perfect either. Maybe try being part of the family instead of holding it hostage. Sunday, they gathered for dinner without me. I stayed home. Later, Ray texted that Grandpa skipped too. When they begged him, he said, you treated John like an outsider. Now he owns the inside. That night, Marlene messaged privately. Can we talk one-on-one? I left it unread. Because once someone shows you your true worth to them, you can't unsee it. I wasn't angry anymore.